The world of startups it's electric, right? It's all about big ideas, those late nights fueled by coffee, and this dream of building something that completely changes the game. But behind all that excitement, there's a really tough reality we have to talk about.
Look at this number, 90%. It's a figure that kind of hangs over the entire startup world like a shadow. But what does it actually mean?
Yeah, 9 out of every 10 startups fail. They just don't make it. They run out of cash, the founders burn out, a competitor eats their lunch, you name it. But what if I told you that a huge number of them are all falling into the exact same trap?
And that really brings us to the core of what we're digging into today. I mean, if you have so many smart, passionate people with these incredible ideas, and they're still failing at such a high rate, what's the common thread? What's that one single mistake that dooms so many of them from the start?
Well, here it is, and it's probably not what you think. The number one reason startups die isn't a lack of funding, or a weak team, or bad marketing. It's building something that nobody actually wants. Just look at that, 42%. That's the percentage of startups that fail simply because there was no market need for what they built. It is, by a huge margin, the leading cause of death for new businesses. It's not even a close race.
And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly explains that 42%. Founders and creators in general can get so wrapped up in their own idea, their amazing technology, their passion project, that they completely forget to ask the most fundamental question of all. Does anyone else actually care about this? They just assume their passion will translate into a market.
So what's going on in their heads? Well, it's a psychology problem, really. We call it the idea-first mindset. It's where you become totally obsessed with your solution. You fall in love with your own brilliant idea, and you start looking for any little piece of evidence that confirms you're right.
And you can see the two paths right here. On the left, that's the trap. Total focus on the tech, constantly adding more features, just running on pure passion. But on the right, that's the way out. It's an obsession with the customer, a deep dive into their pain points, and this relentless, almost ruthless focus on validation. The difference is absolutely night and day.
And if you need a perfect and kind of hilarious example of this, let me introduce you to the TV hat. Seriously, it's a hat with a little screen that hangs in front of your eyes. I mean, technically it works, it's a solution, but it's a solution to a problem that literally no one on Earth has. It is the masterpiece of idea-first thinking.
But falling in love with your own TV hat doesn't just waste your time. It gets incredibly expensive, really fast. And this is where that founder trap starts to tighten its grip, leading you right into what we call the cash burn spiral.
Here's another number for you, 82%. Just let that one sink in for a second. It points to another massive problem in the startup ecosystem.
Yep, 82% of businesses go under because of cash flow issues. But here's the critical link you have to see. This is often just a symptom of that first number, the 42%. It's the direct consequence of building something nobody needs. You burn through all your money trying to sell a product that nobody is buying.
And this is how it happens. You can see it right here. Founders get so excited, they skip the boring stuff like competitive analysis. They try to sell to everyone instead of a small specific niche. They spend a ton of money on things that don't matter yet, like fancy offices or hiring too fast. Every single one of these is an expensive assumption, not a decision based on evidence.
Okay, enough doom and gloom. Let's talk about the way out. There is an antidote to this whole mess, and it's a powerful shift in thinking called the problem-first pivot. It's actually a pretty simple idea, but it's incredibly profound. It means before you write a single line of code, before you even sketch a logo, you become a world-class expert on a specific customer's problem. You fall in love with the problem, not your shiny idea for a solution. And let's be really clear here. This isn't just some nice little theory from a business textbook. This is the fundamental difference. It's the fork in the road that separates the startups that survive and thrive from the 90% that just become another statistic. It is the core discipline of survival.
So how do you actually do it? How do you make this pivot? Let's walk through the practical path to validation. This is all about taking those passionate ideas you have and turning them into cold, hard evidence.
And the process is actually pretty straightforward. First, you get out of the building. You go talk to at least 50, maybe even 100 potential customers to really understand their world. Second, you define your beachhead market. That's just a small focus group you know you can win over first. Third, you build an MVP, a minimum viable product. Think of it as the most basic, bare-bones version of your idea, just enough to test the core concept. And finally, you get feedback and you iterate on that MVP before you ever even think about scaling up.
The whole goal of all these steps is super simple. It's to systematically replace every single one of your assumptions with real evidence. You want to go from, I think people want this, to, I have spoken to 100 people and 70 of them have confirmed they would pay money to solve this problem. That, right there, is a total game changer.
So we'll end on this. It's a question for every founder, every innovator, every creator out there to ask themselves, and to be brutally honest about it. Are you just building another TV hat, a cool idea that's fun for you, or are you deeply, relentlessly focused on solving a real, painful problem for real people? Because the answer to that question will probably determine which side of that 90% you're going to end up on.